Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. Today, I have Simon Lavin, Executive Director of Artel Rubber Company, joining me today. And this is UK's leading silicon hose manufacturer. But Simon, let's hear it from you. Just before we started, you and I were discussing about your journey. But I want you to share with the viewers what has been the journey so far. Tell us more about you and the business.
How far do you want to go back?
That's an interesting. How far you want to take us back?
Well, I can, you go. The brief one is even from school. I knew that I wasn't very academic at school. It didn't really interest me in that sense. I knew that I only wanted to work for myself. I had literally no idea what I wanted to do. So I went through various different jobs, manual working jobs, and then at that point, I decided to go traveling. Went traveling to India, Nepal, China, Australia. Did a lot of time around there. Then I came back and thought, what am I going to do now? At that point, it was around about 1996. And the IT scene, IT contractors were taking off. So I thought, right, a friend of mine was making good money. So I thought, right, I'll learn about computers. So I did a quick course down in Kent on computers, and that was hardware and kind of software. I managed to, and that course was only for 8 weeks. So after that, I managed to get a job locally for a local council doing computer rollouts, upgrading networks. And then from there, I got a few more contracts. After that, then I thought, right, I'll start my own business. So I started my own business in web design and web hosting.
Oh, interesting.
So I did a bit of web design. I couldn't do any web design. I couldn't, I didn't know anything about it, to be honest. But I worked, we managed to build that company over the next probably 8, 9, 10 years. We bought out a few other companies. So we did three acquisitions. I started an office in India. So we had 40 or 50 people over there. We got up to about 6,000 or 7,000 customers, I'd say. And unfortunately, then I had a bit of a tragedy in my life. So I've got two young children. I had 2 young children. They're not young anymore. My wife passed away. So that left me with a 1.5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And with the computer business, it was 24 hours a day because we were looking after websites, we were looking after everything. And at that point, I thought, I don't want to do it anymore. So I sold the business quite quickly and took a bit of time out, just doing nothing, to be perfectly honest. It was quite nice.
But I think being with the kids, and that's handful because I have a 1-year-old, so I can understand it's a lot
Well,
of
that's
work.
probably why I wanted to get back to work. And then I was approached by one of my previous customers, Artel, to say, what are you up to? Would you like to come in? So I said yes. So I bought part of the business and then began my journey here, actually making things, which
That's
is
interesting.
yeah. And then over the last 12 years, we've gone from 3 rented units to 1 owned unit. So we built up our current factory. We've kind of changed quite a bit over the last 10, 15 years on how we operate our client base, our different vertical markets that we go into. And that probably brings us up to round about now in a very loose form.
So it's been 12 years now with
Yeah, it's about 12
Artel.
years, I think. Yeah, roughly. It might be less or it might be more. No, it might be more than that. I can't believe where those 12 years have gone, but it's
You know
quite
what?
frightening.
It's a saying when you're having fun, time flies.
Yeah, yeah. Well, manufacturing, I think any business is extremely stressful with manufacturing is no different. Um, with the IT business, you've got servers online, everybody's trying to hack them every single day. So you've got that threat, the technology, that worry that something's going to happen. With manufacturing, it's the same. You've got raw material to deal with, you've got a lot more staff to deal with, you've got the customers, you've got regulations, you've got shipping, um, we are one of the very few companies that ship out to China. So we send product into China.
I saw
Uh,
that actually on your website, China,
yeah,
Australia, and I was like, this is wow, because all we hear is importing from China,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
guys
No,
export
China
it.
is a
So that
really,
is
really
cool.
big market. Yeah, because our product, I think we can say it quite easily. It's the best in the world. So the Chinese buy from us because it's that good. I know it's only a hose, but in their environment, like in Hong Kong, with the weather, with the humidity, um, hoses break quite a lot, and ours doesn't. So we've got special formulations in order to make sure that that doesn't happen.
And is that your
And
USP? Is that your unique
yeah,
selling proposition?
absolutely, yeah, and that's why we get a lot of business from countries that you wouldn't necessarily associate with buying from anywhere else. Because there are hundreds of silicon hose companies in China, but they don't trust them. So that's why they come to us. Uh,
That is very interesting. That is very
yes,
interesting. So, Simon, looking at this journey, of course, I mean, it has been sort of a roller coaster, as I believe it would be for any sort of
yes,
person,
absolutely.
with it's beautiful how business and personal life are so sort of linked with each other. And what I want to understand is, what have been your biggest sort of learning in this journey as an employer? Because you started saying, you know what, I don't want to work for anyone. So it's clearly you were always in that business owner mindset.
I think with any job, you want to make sure that the effort you put in, you know, if you don't mind doing the extra hours. I was always one of these people I'm quite happy to work extra as long as I get a reward. Um, and I think that's a key thing. If you're when you're running a business, um, small, medium, or large, I presume, is that you don't really get a day off. Because there's always something there. So you always have that in your mind to say, oh, is that machine going to break, or a customer's just WhatsApped me, or is there a problem here, or is the raw material wrong, or etc. etc. But then there's other good bits that you can make the decisions. You can actually go, no, no, this is what's going to happen. Um, so I think for me, the control over my destiny is quite important. If I fail, it's down to me. It's not down to somebody else in
Mm.
in you know in any other department. Say if I worked for Tesco's or there, I can't control Tesco's. I can't control my destiny there unless you move jobs, but I can here. You know, I can take the risk, and I don't mind taking risks because I think for me, you have to, just go, well, we'll do it. And that's very much how we run the business here. Is we're not one for sitting down and having massive long meetings. It's very much I'll have people up in my office probably about every 10 minutes going, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And it's a very quick decision. It's like, right, try it, go on, off you go. Let's see what happens.
Very
Um,
lean. So you believe in lean organization structure.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. I think if we're in a meeting for an hour or 2 hours and nothing actually comes out of it, I think it's pretty pointless for me. My attention span is ridiculously short. So if we don't come to any decision quickly, then that worries me, because we're just sitting there. And if it's not structured to go, right, this is what we do. These are the figures. This backbase. What are we going to do about it? Right. When are we going to do it? That's it. Right. Job done. Let's get on. You know, I in this business, we're not worried about. We don't want to be micromanaging anybody. I'd much prefer to just people to get it as long as the job's done. Happy days. And if they can find a quicker way of doing it, even better. You know, I don't want people to be busy fools. That's what annoys me, just to justify jobs. You know,
I love that. It's just aligned with my thought process because we always say business is not busyness.
yes, absolutely, yeah. And I think there's always that saying that's going around. It might have been Bill Gates or I can't remember who. And it's if you want a job doing quickly, you find a lazy person because the lazy person will find the easiest way to get that job done. And I think, to me, a little bit is that mindset is I don't want people to sit at a desk and pretend they're working for 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, or whatever it is. I want the person to be ideally get their job as quick as possible. And if they want to take on another project or have another idea, go off and run with that, you know, to make the business more efficient, to make every process as easy as possible. And then, you know, once you've got that, you've got a happy workforce. You know, we don't want people stressed for no reason. We want people happy to come to work to go, do you know what? I had an idea. You know, what about this? It's like, oh, that's a really good idea. You've got time to do it. Go for it. You know, so that's how the mindset that we'd like to do. You know, introduction of AI if we can, with processing the orders, processing suppliers.
Big,
So that's what
actually.
we're looking at. Yeah, just to cut down the paperwork. You know, the
Yeah,
paperwork is horrendous. We want to get rid of that ideally.
yeah, absolutely. You've just hit the nail. You know, AI, if you're not embracing it, I mean, you're just missing it. Like what you were mentioning about 1996 when you started the computer business, you know, it was like the first time computers coming in and, oh, what is
Yeah,
this? And now people have this thing about AI. In fact, just reminded me next week we're doing a big session on AI with two expert speakers because this is it's a game changer for
yeah. I
every
mean, we've got
businesses.
we're launching. Well, not launching. We've got a company coming in from Italy next week to introduce AI to some of our systems, from
Mm.
quoting to build times and things like that. That should cut down a huge amount of time with regards to staff stressing. You know, and this isn't, you know, because we run quite a lean organization. We don't want to remove anybody. It's literally about making their lives easier so we can then do a better job. That's that's our main aim. I think we've got the right amount of staff, but if we can, you know, not get stressed, I think it's great. You know,
Do you
so
measure, do you believe in measuring hours or results?
sorry, what's the first one?
Do you believe in measuring the hours or
Oh,
results?
no, results. Yeah, no, absolutely, 100% results. I don't care if it takes 10 minutes or, you know, I don't want people to be working through the night. You know, I do believe it's all down to results. You know, if in theory, if the sales team came in and if they hit their targets in, you know, in a day, you can go in for all I care. I don't really mind. You know, we want to be that kind of business, but a realistic business. So, you know, we want to have realistic goals and not say, right, okay, we can get this done in, you know, a week when realistically it's going to take a month. I think the realistic goals are quite important. You know, if you want to change anything, it takes a little bit of time to actually steer the ship. And even though we're not even a ship, we're a boat, I'd say, it's still, you know, you have to still think about it. But I think change is good. We like change,
I
you
love
know.
that. Is that a part of your culture, your value system?
Yeah, I think when I first bought into this company, there was we had to get away from the mindset of British manufacturing, which was, well, we've always done it like this. And I think coming from the computer background, it gave a sense of urgency. So if your emails go down, you won't wait more than 10 minutes before you're on the phone to IT to go, why is my email down? Why is my website down? What the hell's going on? Broadband, etc. With manufacturing, it was very much like, well, it's 4 o'clock, I'm going home. I'll tell them next day or next week, and I think due to the global competitiveness of the world and how much the world is smaller with manufacturing now, is you can't do that. You have to make sure that your customers are kept up to date. You have to make sure if there's a problem, you have to get back to them straight away. You can't go, because it takes our sales cycle is so long that it takes such a long time to get a customer that it can be very easily lost from companies like India or China or Pakistan or France or wherever. And that's one of the things. So that's an important part of our business, is in order to keep the customers, because the UK manufacturing is quite expensive.
Exactly.
We can't compete with the likes of offshore companies in price. It'd be impossible. But what we can compete in is quality and communication. And I think that's what gives us the edge.
Yeah. And I think also what you just said about efficiency, you can't compete on pricing, but the bottom line, you can compete on efficiency, based on efficiency, how efficient you are working, how lean you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it'd be easy. I would love to sometimes fill the office with, various people to do different jobs or whatever, but you just can't do it. So everyone has to have a job, but everyone has to be good at their job in order to, work here, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, there's so much. This is very interesting because mostly, on an average, we look at everyone importing from the other countries, as you said, because the cost is very high in UK, and you're going the opposite route. So I would be very interested to know what is the real challenges you face from here. Generally, when I talk to businesses, most of their challenges fall into either it is team, getting more from the team done, or it's, time related. I don't have enough number of hours in a day, or it's related to money, which is more customers, more leads, more profitability. What do you see as a challenge for the business from where you are?
I think getting the right systems in place for us is really important. So, and this changes all the time. Because we deal with so many different companies and so many different industries, so many different languages, and so many different payment terms, is having all of that in one system, so it's easy to follow up on a product. Our customers want to know, and we're not there yet, but the system we're doing, hopefully will do, is, if somebody phones up from an OEM in France, they need to know where their parts are at any point around the factory. And our parts are handmade. And I think the data is key. So we need all the information on a screen in front of us. If something's late, we need to know why and how we're going to catch up. Then it's communication to the sales team to make sure that they haven't promised something that we can't actually build. It's quite easy. Some of the reasons why we get the order is we've got, quite a shorter turnaround than, say, from China or India, due to shipping, etc., etc. If our lead time goes out, 4 weeks, then you're thinking
you're not competitive.
No, exactly. So it's a fast changing world that we kind of live in, that some customers will need it now, they'll forget to order, or they're not giving it a schedule on time. So it's making the quick decisions, I think, to go, right, we need to do that. Not tomorrow, not in 1970s England manufacturing. We need to do it now.
I love that British manufacturing.
Yeah.
I think you're sort of, challenging the foundation and the norms, which have been there for years.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important, that mindset of, right, that's a good idea. Right, let's do it now, as in right now.
No,
You know,
not
yeah,
not
yeah,
after 4 or not the next week or something. Yeah.
yeah. No, no. And I think it's important because if our customers don't wait, we've got big customers in the USA at the moment, and we're talking very, very big customers, world known. And um, if we don't act within an hour or so, they're ruthless. And this might only be for, hoses, but they are ruthless to go, we'll get it elsewhere, you know, because
That's
it's horrendous to deal with. Um, but it's a very good bit of business. So, but we just have to be agile like that
yeah,
and
but then how
communicate
do you manage the team? Because I'm
very
thinking,
difficultly.
yeah, I was about to come because I mean you are in UK, right? And
Yeah.
most what all your it would be UK people you're employing in the
Yeah.
manufacturing. So how do you deal with that mindset change?
Well, we've got various structures in place to change. So it all starts on our supplier base, because our raw material goes off in 2 to 3 months, and we have a lot of different types of raw material for the different hoses we build. So food quality, we have fire retardant, we have hot temp, we have water council. So we have a lot of different silicons that we have to use. If they're not used in 2 months' time, we have to bin them. So, and normally there's a 6 week lead time. All of our orders are very rarely scheduled, they're spot orders. And our manufacturing lead time is probably 4 weeks. So it's a very difficult thing that we have to juggle with swapping from sending food quality hoses over to China to all of a sudden sending wind turbine hoses over to Denmark. With the staff, we plan, well, sometimes about 8 months in advance for our staff.
Do
Um,
you think so? Do you suggest planning is important? Is that what?
yeah, because we've got probably at any one point 400 different shapes and sizes of hoses that we make. Each one of those hoses is hand built, um, because that's how you make a hose, unfortunately. Um, each one of those has different specifications for that hose. So uh, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't know about. But our staff are generally good. In order to get them on board, we only do a 4-day working week. So we do Monday to Thursday, and we get our working hours in 4 days, which helps with retention. And that also helps with us saying to some of the staff, if you want to do some overtime, if we've got an urgent job, would you like to work a Friday? So that gives people the option to come in on a Friday, and therefore we can increase production if needs be.
So if
We
I
also
understand correctly, you pay them for a full working week, but they only work for 4 days.
4 days, yeah. They
But
do all their hours though.
so they do all their hours, yeah. So let's say if it's a 40-hour week, they'll do 10 hours for
10
4 days.
hours a day. Yeah, yeah. So that was always the bonus for them to go, right, we could every single week we could have a long weekend. So
And
we could have Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
exactly. So does that help in retention?
Yes. Yeah. It helps on retention, but it also helps if people, go, do you know what? I would, I'll put my name down to have some extra hours, because a lot of people don't want to take a Friday off. They just want to carry on working. So, so we found out that that works quite well. We also, in order to incentivize, offer weekly bonus schemes, in order to make people, not make people, but for people to be a bit more incentivized to get more product or more orders or not be late, out of the factory.
Does that impact your margins because of the 4-day week, the weekly bonus, as compared to what you were doing earlier? Does
Some of
that
the
have a negative
customers,
impact on the margins?
it's not necessarily. The margins are, it's priced all depending on volumes and different customers and things like that. Some of the margins are quite tight, some of the margins are more generous. But then some of the hoses are more complicated. Some hoses can take a minute, some hoses can take a day to build.
But then a 4-day week as compared to a 5-day week, would that have an impact on the margins?
If they're doing a 5th day, that would be an overtime day. And that would be either because we are late on something or a customer wants an urgent order. If a customer normally wants an urgent, yeah. And then we could normally go back and say, right, we can, we'll add an overtime charge for the customer because they want it in a week. So generally it's okay. Or there might be a project for us here that I've authorized to go, oh, wonder if we can change this around the factory, or this customer, we're 2 days late because of a machinery breakdown and because of raw material or because a staff member's off. So it gives us that chance to get the work done. It gives us the flexibility to actually get it out the door without thinking, where are we going to find the time from?
Clearly, Simon, you and Artel Rubber is sort of challenging the norms, the fundamentals, what was there, and you're just embracing the new change. As you said, you like change, embracing the new technology, the new systems. So looking at this, what is the vision? Where do you see the business in the next 5 years?
We, as a business, believe in the next people. So we believe in giving chances to everybody. Now, I'd like to get the next set of managers in. So in 5 years' time, we could be, myself and your business partner could be off either having a look at acquisitions or thinking, do you know what, we could actually set up different offices in France or Europe, or Denmark or the USA. I think sometimes it's quite difficult to do that when you don't have the next team beneath you, and just to give them a chance. I think it's good. It's difficult to start a business nowadays, but there are plenty of amazing people out there who want to do well, who want to take the next step, and I think it's really, really important that happens. To me,
that's
it's not
something
necessarily
you're planning for.
Absolutely, yeah. For me, it's not about looking at a CV and saying, "Oh, you've got A's, stars, and everything." I do look at that, but it's not a key factor in me deciding. It's their personality, their willingness to take the jump, to go, "No, I'd like that responsibility." I kind of like greedy people as well, to go, right, if I do this, could I have a little bit more money? And I like that because I like to see
the hunger.
Yeah, it really, there's something about it to see somebody grow in a role, and you kind of feel a little bit proud that they are growing, and they're taking that action, and I can see the results to go, wow, you've come from this to this, and it impresses. So I think those people, it just need to be rewarded. It's quite difficult in a small company or smallish company to reward everybody with promotions. There's always going to be some people who reach the level, there's nowhere else to go and move on. But hopefully we're building a really good team around us that we can see and they want to stay here.
That is so key.
Yeah. To have people here.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Can we grow a business? No, business is intangible. We grow the team, and the team grows the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was speaking to a friend of mine a while back, and he has a business. But I said, what's your future plans? What's your exit plans or retirement? And he was like, well, the business is me, really. So he can't retire. And for me, I don't want the business to be me. It's not me. I don't speak to some of the customers. We don't do that. So I think it's really important.
If you want to, can you exit the business?
Yeah.
Or how many years do you need to exit the business? If you want to, it's a choice.
2 years, probably. 2-3 years. But realistically, if I did it right, 6 months, not even that. Because I think that would be the key. Because in order for people to step up, I've got to step aside in that sense.
Exactly. And then we talk about succession planning,
Exactly.
building selling a business like selling a house. What do
Yeah.
we do when we want to sell a house?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is it. And I think it's really important. But then that gives people a bit more motivation to think that, right, okay, they've made it quite clear that they want to either not pass it on, but move aside and or what. Because I think with a lot of owners' businesses, they've got a massive grip on a business, but then that doesn't lead to succession. It doesn't lead to planning. It doesn't lead to keeping people who want to be sat in my desk, sat at my desk. And I want people to go that. I want people to come in and go, right, you're going to be out of this office in 2 years. It's like happy days. Brilliant.
Actually, if you look at it, it's a win-win because business is an ongoing entity.
Yeah.
The sooner business has its own identity from the business owner, the better it is. Unfortunately, what we see that people have got a job in their own business.
Yes. Yeah. And I think you need to step out of that and go, the reason why you set up your own business or you have your own business is not to be at work 5 days a week and stressing over weekends and you think nothing about the business. It's to think, well, you've got to think of the positives. At any point in the day, I want to be able to go, do you know what? I'm going home. That's it. And can I do that? And, can I go, do you know what? Everything, all my roles are covered, so I don't need to worry about it. I can go home, I can spend time with the family. That's what I want to be able to achieve.
Where are you right now? Where do you see that for yourself? Can you do that now?
I can't do it today because I'm quite busy.
Thanks for your honesty. I love that.
Yeah. But I've got to fix that compressor I was talking about or organize. But there's things that you do want to do, and I was saying about family life. My children are, 17 and 15 and 20. We need to make sure that I can spend time with them because it's all encompassing running your own business. And, you get home some days and you have had a bad day when a customer isn't playing or a supplier is being awkward or whatever. And it's a stressful time. You try not to take it out on your children or come home being moody for no reason when they haven't done anything. So to me, it's having that fine line. You started a business, you're running a business, it's stressful, but then you need to have the good times as well to go, do you know what? Yeah, I'm taking the afternoon off without having to book it. Or, I'm going to go to the gym at lunchtime or whenever I want. And, no one has to ask me where I am. Or, and I think you've got to have the bonuses because it can't all be about money. It's about time. Time for me is a huge thing that we need to keep an eye on because it goes quite quickly.
Yeah, you can earn as much money as you want. Unfortunately, you can't earn more time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that for me is a big thing, to make sure that my kids, if they're when they're at school and they've got a rugby match, that I make sure that I'm there and it'll be 2:00 on a Thursday because I know that school doesn't last forever and I'll regret it. And so that's what I want to do, but then if I have to come into the factory on a Thursday or Thursday night, I will do, but it's that, do you know what? I'm going to do what I want, mentality whilst pushing the business forward.
So if going back to the vision, we said probably new setup in different countries, new set of people, new set of manager.
Yeah.
And is it an exit strategy for you in the next 5 years?
I think that there's always two options, isn't there? There's the option where you do a trade sale, you sell completely, or you build it and then you get a management team in to run it. then you're still involved. Now,
Yeah.
what would be the best situation? I don't know. Probably a clear exit, because you'd still be stressed that, you bring in directors and they still wouldn't do their, their
The
job.
way you would like to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
there's
I
always a
know,
comparison and a benchmark.
yeah. And I think, would I want my, you also have an issue with, I've got children, would they want to come into the business? But then sometimes I think it's unfair for children to come into a business because they haven't done the hard hours, they haven't done the stress. So I'm all for helping somebody start a business, but not necessarily just walking into a job. If they did, don't get me wrong, my children have worked here, but they've worked on the factory floor. They haven't been given a nice job. Yeah, no, I won't do that. But then I've never given pocket money. So if they want to earn money, they have to get a job. So it's varying, but I'm not quite sure that I would want them to work in a manufacturing business, because it's quite difficult, and I wouldn't want them to force them on something. So
yeah, unless they want to. I mean,
yes, absolutely.
Nowadays it's like I see that clarity. I mean, I have a 10-year-old and a 1-year-old. 1 is too tiny, but in 10-year time, and they are pretty clear which way they want to go. So it would be very interesting in doing that. So Simon, the last and the most interesting, I love this question. This is my favorite. If you had to start everything from scratch, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently? It all depends on where I wanted to end up. Now, like we're talking about, is time. Would I chase? My dream when I was kind of younger was always to have my own offices and my own buildings and staff and things like that. I wanted to, for some reason, I wanted to have a boardroom. And now I've got a big boardroom. I've got an office, I've got a big desk, I can walk around. But I think the actual goals I wouldn't chase. I'd probably more lean, even leaner. So if I wanted to start a business, I would focus on something probably with higher margins and a bit more specialized. I wouldn't go out and get an office to begin with. I've seen lots of people go and be extremely successful with not actually making anything or doing anything like that. They literally just buy it in and sell it on. So it's that. Would I look at a business like that to begin with? Would I look at more business to consumer instead of business to business? I did have bizarrely, I had a vitamins business for a while.
That's interesting. I mean,
well,
IT, vitamins. Oh, you are a man with multiple tastes, huh?
Well, we were doing some websites for companies, and they came back and they said, we'd go and say we can create this website, this drop shipping, etc., etc. And they said, how do you know? Because you've never done it. And it's like, well, that's a very good point. No, we've never done it. So we looked at a commodity that would be people would use every month or start to use every month. So that's what we went into. So we found a supplier, got it branded as our own, and started selling vitamins. But I sold that business after about a year, just as a proof of concept to go, right, okay, I know we can pack and send vitamins out and gain some business.
Was it profitable? What did you get out of it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the vitamins was quite interesting. You had to spend a lot of money to buy the customer. So vitamins on Google advertising, 15 years ago was horrendous. It was like, online casinos. The pay-per-click was really expensive. So then we did a little bit of drop shipping, but that was way before drop shipping got famous now through,
exactly.
Yeah. So we did that for quite a bit. And then we sold that to a company down south.
That is so interesting. You know what, Simon, you remind me of something, and because I work with a lot of clients on valuations, exit strategy, succession planning, on all of that stuff. it's beautiful to see that every business owner is chasing the profit per year, yeah, the margin.
Yeah,
And when you're selling a business, you can get 3 to 6 times the profit multiple within that 1 year.
yeah,
So if you get into the hang of the businesses buying and selling, you make 3 to 6 times more in a year time, which you would do it while working in the business.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think also when you come to sell or when you come to the exit of the business, I think there goes a part of your life. You go, do you know what? I don't really want a Ferrari anymore. When you're younger, you go, do you know what? I really want a Ferrari. I want a massive house. I want that. And you get to a point when you go, do you know what? With a big house, that's just a lot more issues. And
Lot more
don't get me wrong,
maintenance, lot more work.
yeah, a lot more work. And I've got a nice house. I'm fortunate enough to have I've got 9 acres with my house. And you're thinking it's a lot of mowing, it's a lot of fencing, it's a lot of work, And then when you're thinking, I need to take out those complications as you get older. You don't want to have to at weekends go, oh, I've got to do that work, or my Ferrari is needs a service at X amount. I'd much prefer to start to keep things simple. And I think that's what happens when you get a little bit older is simplicity, and getting back the time that you lost, when you're younger for chasing stuff that isn't necessarily important. For me, being able to leave work early and spending it with my family is worth so much more than getting a new Ferrari and having to spend longer at work.
I think
I
it's
want
also
to,
about the clarity of what we want in life. Most
yeah,
people probably want just chasing the materialistic things.
yeah. And I don't think that's
Yeah.
important now. Well, for me personally, it doesn't, I don't, I've just got rid of a lovely car because I've had lovely cars for 15, 20 years. And I've had 2 cars, in fact. And I've got rid of the nice one. And now I drive my classic Land Rover Defender um, because it's back to basics. It's like, do you know what? I'm happy. Yeah. It's a strange one. Just, yeah, it's very strange in how we actually deal with stuff.
Yeah.
So I think simplicity for me, if I had to start again, that would be the key, is how I can make it as simple as possible in the least time.
I
So
love that. And that actually is a big, big sort of value system. We say simplify to amplify. Things
yeah,
are simple.
yeah, keep it simple. I don't, no one wants to be, if, obviously to begin with, you have to work long hours, but if you can simplify it, uncomplicate it, not have the massive overheads, yeah. So think a bit differently, create more partnerships with, sub manufacturers or sub products instead of trying to do it in house to begin with. You know, would I not necessarily manufacture over in the UK given what's all happened? Think about low cost manufacturing, but more control over it. As soon as the team came, you would have really concentrate on the processes to begin with, because when you inherit processes, it takes a long time to change them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of you have to unlearn the previous method and then learn
Yeah.
again.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it takes more time than learning something from the start.
Well, this is exactly it. So I think that is always a key to go, right. We've made a lot of mistakes, but the slate could be wiped clean if we started again, which would be quite exciting in that sense. So if I did exit from this business, I think I probably would start another business, but I don't know what in, and just to see what would happen,
That is
you know.
that is a good one to think about it.
Yeah.
And I think, what, to end up this interview on a simple thing like simplicity. I think
Yeah.
that's such a big, I'm going to take that away from this interview. That's my biggest takeaway, that if you look around things, it's simple.
Yeah.
We don't
Why
have to
overcomplicate
unnecessarily
it?
complicate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When
But
even it comes to systems, processes, team management, everything is simple. Sales, marketing, people buy from people they like, know, and trust. So
yeah,
things are
exactly.
simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's focus on the simplicity.
Yeah. Yeah. Cut out all the fluff and all the big words, cut out all of that because it's pointless. Cut out the, the 4-day meetings. Nobody's interested. Let's just get the work done and let's all have a life. Let's build the business. Let's make sure it's successful, but don't faff and, don't stand back. Faffing is a very, English word about, and I hate people that faff. Make a decision, get on with it.
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
for it. Yeah.
So team, you guys are listening to it. One thing you're gonna take away. I mean, one thing if you want to take away from this interview, of course, that there's so many golden nuggets. Simplify your things, simplify your processes. That's where the business grows. Simplicity. It's simplify to amplify. Simon, thank you so much for sharing your expertise, and I love the journey. Thanks for your honesty and openness. You've shared so much, and there's so much to learn when it comes to change, realistic goal, simplicity, and I love the way you've moved across the goals across your life. From chasing materialistic to now more sort of bigger, reflective goals, I would say.
Yes.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
no, thanks for sharing and thanks for being a part of our show.
No problem. Nice to speak to you.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope this has been, this was a
been really
good
good.
one for you.
Yeah,
Lovely.
makes me think.